As the world's population grows to over 7 billion people in 2014, sustaining that astronomical amount of humanity is a monumental challenge companies wrestle with literally every minute of every day. The core of sustainability is simple. We're talking about energy. Energy is the power needed to propel both people and product from here to there, both near and far. And by products, we're talking about man's machines, planes, trains, and vehicles. Hydrocarb Energy Corporation, with a presence here in the United States and abroad, is working towards fueling the future. Ken Watts is the chairman of Hydrocarb, and he joins us here on New to the Street. Ken, thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks, Ken. I'm really happy to be here.
Glad to have you. I understand Hydrocarb has domestic oil production in Galveston Bay right now. Tell me about what's going on over there.
Well, that asset is super for us. It was really originally drilled in, I guess, well, the 60s, 70s by Exxon, and there was 120 wells drilled. We've gone back in with our new management and have assessed everything going on there. We have about 30 wells that we've done oil field maintenance on to bring back production when they were actually shut down by Exxon when the price of oil was much lower, but there's a lot more oil to produce. So we've gone in and turned on about approximately 30 wells back on, and we've got a lot more that we believe we can continue to do that. And so we're very excited about being able to get that going, to get our revenues up and actually make money for this company.
So there's a lot of money to be made in Galveston Bay.
No doubt about it. And then there's also some exploration opportunities there, which we haven't really ever talked about, but we will be. We've actually have a plan already laid out by our top technical people. Basically, most importantly, Chuck Domer is our president and chief operating officer, has done an assessment with our top technical staff, and they are going in by well. We risk each and every particular maintenance item that we do, and for a relatively small amount of capital, we can double, maybe even triple our production there.
Now, Kent, I understand you guys are moving into the continent of Africa. Now, when people hear Africa, often they might think, some people, not everybody, some people might think it's a difficult and dangerous environment to work in. What is Hydrocarb's experience in Africa?
Well, first, Ken, I would say that my personal experience in Africa started in around the 2002 time frame, and I've been very much engaged in that continent in different countries, ranging from very, very well-run countries with the rule of law, like we're in Namibia right now, to some other West African countries which have difficulties that you hear about quite a bit. And in either case, our management and our board of directors and our management has that kind of experience to be able to deal with any of those types of countries. We go into these countries as a servant, and you have to go from the top down, and you have to do everything according to their laws, but also according to the laws of the United States. And the reality is the people and the overall, as a general rule, in all the countries that I've been involved with are fantastic. And if you go in there with the idea of friendship, their cultures will embrace you, and you have the opportunities that not just everybody would have. But you can't go in there like a bull in a china closet and just expect you. And I think that the larger multinational oil companies may not be a fit for that type of work. And I think that's a niche for us. And it's really a real estate business. We're looking for real estate that has the potential for holding substantial hydrocarbons.
Quick follow-up on that. You mentioned the Namibian government and the United States government. What is it like to work under the dynamic of the auspices of each government, where you have to basically cater to both at the same time? How do you serve the customer?
Well, the way obviously we go into the country and we make them aware of our constraints, and we have something called the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act that we have to adhere to by the letter of the law, and we do everything to do that. When we go in, we also get and find in one particular country that was involved in, the Republic of Guinea, we found that literally the number 25, he had on his license had number 25 a lawyer in the country that did our legal opinion. And before too much money's invested, You make sure that the contracts and you have arbitration rights in like London, England, or France, what have you, whatever the case may be, under treaties that these countries would be associated with. So it's not something where you hear, well, okay, and you go in and they have an uprising and you're thrown out of the country and lose all your rights. I'm not saying that can't happen or hasn't happened in different situations. Most of our experience has been, though, if you're papered up properly from a legal standpoint, you always will have some kind of international law claim on, as long as you've done your work. And that's what protects you the most in these countries, in Africa, or practically anywhere, actually.
Now, I understand Hydrocarb has a petroleum agreement with the Namibian government to explore 5.2 million acres in Africa. How is that going to work?
Well, we've been working. It's tremendously exciting for us opportunity. This is the Vombo Basin that borders Angola. Our geoscientist, starting with Pasquale Scaturo, our chief executive officer, who was principally involved in obtaining that concession, and has got a lot of experience in Namibia, of course, all over the continent of Africa as a geographical explorer. And additionally, Charles Dahmer, our president and chief operating officer, together, we've put their work program. It's a scientific process that you have to go through under exploration. And every time you take a step in that process, what you're doing is you're de-risking the asset, is the term that's used, but basically you're increasing the probability of success of finding major hydrocarbons. So we've actually done outcrop studies, soil samples prove that there's a carbonate source, which is fairly significant, meaning that we understand that around the world, you don't find oil on top of a volcano, you have to have a sedimentary basin. In our particular case, we've got hard evidence and always looking for more evidence, but that's the scientific process. But we've got evidence that we have a carbonate source. And what that means is, to us, we don't know of any carbonate source basin around the world that doesn't prolifically produce oil.
So it sounds like things are looking real positive working in Africa.
Absolutely. And the thing about our concession there, and that's one concession we're working on with other countries, other opportunities, but we can talk quite a bit about and continue to talk about our concession in Namibia. And Namibia is a rule of law country. It's pretty much they're actually being called the Switzerland of Africa. They work very well there. It's 2.5 million people in the country. The country's a third the size, larger than Texas. And so it's a very well-run country. I'd say probably one of the best-run countries from a political standpoint in Africa. But that opportunity there is, at this point, Netherlands Sewell has done a resource estimate of 1.1 billion barrels of oil in place and 15% of our concession that currently has seismic data. We talked about that process, that scientific process. We've done an aerograph magnetic study. We're going to be doing an additional seismic program. Pasquale Scaturo, the Chief Executive Officer, has a tremendous amount of experience in land-based seismic acquisition, and we're going to be principally involved in all that whole process, again, to de-risk our asset and to get to the point of drilling. And at that point, we are looking to bring in some of the largest oil companies in the world as partners.
What do you want the viewer to take away from our little discussion we had here today on New to the Street?
Well, Ken, I've got to tell you, this company, from where we've come and how everything's come together from our management group, the assets that we have today, the opportunity, especially in Namibia, and the expertise that we have to develop that asset and explore that asset is phenomenal. I mean, 15% of the asset, or 15% of the area of our 4 blocks in Namibia are covered with seismic. The Netherlands Sewell unrisked resource potential estimate is 1.1 billion barrels in place. If we make a discovery, that would be turn into like 270 million barrels of oil recoverable. And I would just say, do the math on that. It's somewhat, and we're excited to the point we know we have a lot of other opportunities in neighboring countries.
So you could say the fiscal future looks pretty bright for Hydrocarb going forward?
Yeah, I mean, the opportunities, and you can't ask for more than that. When you've got the types of opportunities that the company has developed, you know, I don't know how to say it, you know, you keep saying it over and over, but basically we have the type of concession, we have the type of assets, the real estate, where the probability of success of making a world-class discovery of oil and gas is real. It's not, and scientifically we've got that backed up. And we're going to continue to do that. So there's a lot of other things I wish I had time to talk about, because as far as the future of where we can go with this, but right now we're focused on Africa is our major focus for our major upside. But we really love the opportunity that we have in Galveston Bay with that asset, because it actually has some exploration opportunities as well on top of our production.
Promise us you'll keep us posted here at New to the Street with what's going on with Hydrocarb going forward.
I will, absolutely.
Pleasure having you here on the show.
Thank you, Ken.
Ken Watts, thanks for being here.